Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, the Fuzz is here, and it's time for another Spellweaver Talk. Today I want to talk about my personal wish list, if you will, for the kinds of things I'd like to see, the kind of cards I would like the developers to come up with, and some other things as well. So, we know that new cards will be coming. We have 6 new heroes confirmed. I read on the forums it's supposed to come out sometime in August. So that's going to be awesome, but new cards as well. So what kind of cards would I personally like to see the devs come up with? So first up, there are three tribes that I kind of want to get more support, starting with Angels. Now the Angels are a really interesting one. They already kind of have a game type built around them. They have the hero, which works with Angels, and they have their own shrine, which is even a win condition, and that's really awesome. The problem is we only have 3 angels. Literally 1, 2, 3 cards that are angels. And while that's actually not terrible, it is enough for the deck to function reasonably well. They could use a little bit more, not much, maybe 1 more angel to kind of just fill up the roster. One that is obviously not as powerful as Guardian of the Faithful or Antriel. Maybe somewhere around this power level. I was actually thinking of creating a card that would start out very small, like a 0-2, and then when it is killed, it would summon like a 4/4 flying angel. That would be really cool. Now, of course, to avoid it being abused, it would only summon the creature if it died on your opponent's turn. So he would have to kill it, or it would have to die blocking something. You wouldn't be able to use something like Sell into Slavery, get it off the board, get the free angel, and then resurrect it, and then just repeat that shenanigans. So that's just one kind of idea I would like to see. But really, any angel to give these guys a little bit more choices. Because at the moment, if you want to use angels, you basically have to run all of these. Because there just aren't any choices if you want any kind of consistency with the hero power. But the second one, the more important, I'm actually going to go to collection. This is going to work a little better. The demons. Now, the demons are actually pretty much a nearly complete tribe. They have their own special card, the Dark Portal, which is a really awesome card. It's extremely powerful, possibly game-breakingly, but it comes at an extremely heavy price. The thing is, at the moment, our demon lineup is just kind of lackluster. We lost Bezarok, temporarily, of course, but we lost him. And if you think about, okay, what cards are actually the demons? Well, there's 5 demons total, if you don't consider Bezarok. We got this little dude, who, well, just doesn't really do anything. But in the demon deck that was used in closed beta, it was actually alright, because you could search it out and basically play it for free, which was not too bad. Another demon is actually Infernal Vultures. A little bit surprising. But this one just doesn't work very well with the demons. And it has anti-synergy with Blood Witch. What's she called? Blood Witch Harpy. Yeah, this one. The 3rd demon. She was one of the cornerstones of the deck because she just did a really great job of holding off aggro. But the most important demon was, of course, the Succubus. The one that actually held it all together because of the ability to steal life. Now, why was stealing life so important? Well, it's because Dark Portal kills you very quickly. You take 1 damage the first turn, and then 1 more damage the subsequent turns. So without some ways to gain life, you'd be killing yourself in just a few turns. So what kind of a demon would I like to see? I would like to see some kind of demon that could perhaps just slow down the portal a little bit. As long as you have it on the board, the portal doesn't increase in energy. You still get to search for the level that it's on, and you still take the damage for the level that it's on, but it doesn't go any further. So it gives them a little bit more breathing room without making Dark Portal just obscenely broken. Because this is the kind of card that at any time, when there's any changes or any new cards, could become ridiculous. I mean, all your demons cost 1 less and you get a free search every turn? That's insane. That's just ridiculous. So, of course, we would like to see Bezarok come back. That would be great. Oh yeah, one more demon I forgot about is this guy, which is, I mean, he's alright, but usually because of how quickly you had to play with the demon deck, you just didn't have time. You had to go, you know, Nightbringer and then into Blood Witch and then Succubus, 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 Succubus. try to keep up on life. So yeah, bring us some more demons, make the deck really awesome. I think it could be really awesome. Although, Bezorok could actually become overpowered. If you have enough good demons in the game so that you can fill your deck with them, well then if Bezorok comes out, gets 2 or 3 creatures underneath him, then if he dies, you just put him on the board. Is that overpowered? I don't know. It sounds cool as hell though, and it would certainly give Karthus something to think about before he just randomly kills Bezorok, only to realize there's 3 more creatures coming afterwards, ready to whoop that ass. The third tribe, which is actually the one I've been most disappointed with, are the Shamans and Totems. These poor guys. And this one is actually fairly well developed as well. I mean, the Mountain Sanctuary is actually a skill shrine that works with them. It's very similar to the Angel one. But of course, you know, getting Totems out is not nearly as good as getting out Angels. Okay, so here they all are. We have only 3 Totems. The Totems are not bad. Giving all your guys Swift, that's fine. Drawing extra cards, you know, doing 2 damage, that sounds really great. The problem is the Shamans themselves just kinda suck, unfortunately. Cards like this one, the Fire Dancer, basically Library Guard without the draw. This guy just not good enough. This one's actually alright, but we need more guys like that. And the Disciple of Zash is pretty good. And then the Flamebringer Shaman could be really good if we got more good Shamans. Now, I've made this post already on the forums, but I suggested 1 new Totem and 1 new Shaman. The Totem I wanted to see was, I called it, I think, Power Totem. It makes all your Shamans cost 1 less, and then when you play a Shaman, you take off 1 energy, and then when it has no energy, it dies. It would actually make cards like this somewhat reasonable, because, okay, if you pay just 2 mana for it, it's suddenly not so bad. Yeah, the card itself is pretty bad, but if it suddenly has haste, if it does 2 damage, or it draws you a card, or it costs less, it's actually not terrible. I think that would help a little bit, but it would be good to have more than just 5 Shamans, so that you can actually pick and choose. And the Shaman I suggested is actually a legendary Shaman. Imagine that. And I think I made him out to be a 3/3, gets a might counter for every totem you have in play, and then he's unstoppable. So it's kind of like the... well, it's kind of like Dust Titan, except rather than paying mana, you have totems on the board. But it would represent a big threat for your opponent, because if you have enough totems, this guy could be a huge threat. Problem is, right now, just playing totems is a little bit slow, and of course you're very vulnerable to spell removal. If you play Lightning Totem and your opponent plays a Unicorn, that's just kind of a bad time all around, and without just stronger core overall, this will never really see any light of day. And it's just a shame, because it literally just, the deck makes itself. It just needs more meat to really be tasty. We need more cards like this that interact with totems, or just good ones, just good Shamans, just like this one. I mean, even this wouldn't be that terrible if the totems were a little bit more consistent. So some kind of cost reduction totem would be nice, and maybe even a cost reduction Shaman, the Shaman that makes your totems cheaper. Would that become overpowered? I don't know. I would like to find out. Now, that's it for just the tribes. Oh, whatever. Okay, fine. Some of the other things I had in mind would be advanced skills. Now, the closest thing we have to advanced skills are, of course, just the advanced heroes. But they're not really what I was thinking about, because you can just start the game with them. I was thinking more along the lines of a skill that you can't activate until you've gotten some basic version of it. So let's just try one out. Let's say we've got something like Laboratory. Pretty nice basic skill. You could make an advanced skill for this. Maybe it would give 4 energy and it would have a shorter cooldown. But you couldn't get it on the board, or you couldn't gain this skill until you have Thaumic Laboratory. Now you might think, well, isn't this going to make the game just dominated by skill shrines? Perhaps, but to be perfectly honest, I don't think that's a bad thing. The skills, the hero powers, the wide variety that we have are what sets this game apart from other games. In Hearthstone, for instance, the hero abilities are just kind of there to fill your mana when you have nothing to do. Although the recent upcoming expansion might change it. In Spellweaver, we have all kinds of really awesome shrines. Now, admittedly, some are too powerful. Something like this could easily be an advanced ability. Just enemy hero sacks a creature. This probably should be more advanced. So what could be a basic version of this? Well, let's say it's just 2 aspects, 2 mana, your opponent sacrifices a level 1 creature. If he has one. If he doesn't, then he doesn't. It wouldn't be nearly as broken, since it only kills small stuff. What about... Alright, this one. Oh, well, no, actually, Altar of Dragons. This looks like a really powerful advanced skill that you could use. Now, at the moment, because you have to discard a card, it's not really all that powerful, at least compared to Soul Prison. It's still pretty good, though. But if you made this an advanced skill, and the basic one was just, you know, maybe deal 2 damage to discard a card, and then later it gains the ability to put a dragon on the board, that would be pretty cool. Other ones, I mean, I don't know. You get the idea. This, for instance, could serve as a good basic skill. Just put 1 might counter on something. But the advanced one, maybe you put 2, or you can put, you know, 1 on 2 different soldiers. Or, I don't know. You get the idea. The advanced shrines would be something else to work towards. But you have to keep in mind, if you run more shrines that are not basic ones, you give up draw. Every time you play your skill shrine, you do not draw a card. That is the opportunity cost of using these. And that's great. That is perfectly fine. And so if you say, oh, I'm just going to start running 4 of, you know, all the ones I want, and then the advanced ones, well, you're going to lose out on a lot of draw. Something to keep in mind. So yeah, that's my thought on that. And the next thing I would like to see, this is just a small thing, but you know how we have energy? Alright, let me just get away from here. We have energy, like on a cards like this, and that's a great mechanic, really. It really adds another dimension to the game. What we do not have is any way to just remove energy or transfer energy away from cards in some way, other than something like Charged Aurite, which just gives other things its own energy. But I was talking something like, let's say if your opponent has a Chalice, excuse me, Chalice of Yunks, is that what it's called? Yunks, I'm just going to call it Yunks, and it's building up energy. That it would be nice if you had a card that, let's say, when it comes into play, if there's some energy on the board, it could steal some of it and give it to itself, and then it gains some ability. This way you could have ways to stop something like Chalice without necessarily having to destroy it. And it would give something like Dark Portal a way to play. Now, as I warned earlier, if you have a way to control the portal, that might become overpowered, but I don't know. Maybe Portal wouldn't be affected by it, or I don't know. So, some ways to take away or transfer energy, since we already have cards that give energy, like the Astral Dive card, where if I can ever find it, nope, here it is. Cards you control gain 1, but what about a card that takes away energy or just transfers it? Just a little thought. It's not really a big deal. I just thought it would be a nice way to complete that archetype. The last thing I wanted to talk about is a game mode. Now, this game mode is something that I was desperately hoping Hearthstone would have, but it never did. Now, my favorite part of that game is... What? Connection to the server was lost. Well, that's disappointing. Hang on a second, guys. Okay, whatever. We'll just finish here. The game mode that I was hoping Hearthstone would have is like Arena, or for us it's Trials, but friendly. You just do it with a friend. There are no rewards, but of course the cost will be much lower. You could still have an admission price. Like for our purposes, to start a trial here, you need to pay 1,750 gold. So to do one with a friend, you could say, okay, it costs 100 gold. Just 100, which is not a lot. I mean, an average quest will give you 300 gold, and that's just like play 3 games or play 5 games. And every time you win, you get 60 gold. So 100 gold is really nothing. And being able to just draft with friends, I think, would be just one of the more fun things you can do in the game. Because I don't know how about you guys, but for me, Constructed just gets boring sometimes. Especially since sooner or later, like, the top players will figure out what the best decks are, and then that's mostly what you face. And then you're left with something like Trials and Arena, but that, costs a lot. I mean, it isn't as bad here as it is in Hearthstone, but it still does. And being able to do it with just a friend for fun at a very reduced cost, that would be great. That is something I would love to see in this game. It would be a great way for me to start pulling in some friends, and that way we could play against each other without them having to have an extensive collection. Because one of the issues that I encounter in Hearthstone is that all my friends have very few cards, and I have almost everything, and we can never play on equal footing because I can just make anything I want. They were basically stuck with basic cards, and a friendly draft mode, trial mode, whatever, would give us a way to play on equal footing and just have a great time doing it. So those are the things that are currently on my wish list. If even one of these ends up happening, I'm gonna just feel warm and fuzzy inside. But probably the draft one. That's really the only one that I think would be the most valuable to the game. The angels, demons, and all that stuff, that's great and all, but that's just flavor. Angels and demons don't have to be a thing. I just thought it'd be cool if they were. But anyways, let me know what you think. Write it in your comments or post something on the forums if you want to hear what others have to say. Subscribe if you like the videos. I'll keep them coming. And see you on the battlefield, guys. Keep grinding those cards.